Okay, Hare Krishna, this is Krishna Dasa. Today we're going to start chapter 6. And we are starting chapter 6 on an auspicious day. Today is the start of Kartik month. It's also known as Damodar Mas. One of the beautiful things is this is when Yashoda Ma tied the Bal Krishna. She tried to tie him up, and make sure that the story goes that he was supposed to meet Radharani, but Yashoda Ma just tied him up inside the house. you know that story where she's tying him up and then he's trying to still take everything with him, and there's a long story there. But the other version of it is Radha Ma gets very upset because Hana was supposed to come meet me, and how come he has not come? And she's very angry, But then it goes on that later on she finds out that actually Yashoda has tied him up, tied my Kana up. So all her anger goes away, and so this month is all for Bhakti Bhav, Matsalya, and all of that. So it's a very beautiful period, and so let us all try to do more and more of our spiritual activities, devotional activities, and get abundant grace and blessings from Lord Krishna. So, before we begin, let me say the prayer to Guru and God. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, I'm going to start playing the Shlokas. Today we are going to cover 6.1 to 6.4. So if you have your Bhagavad Gita in front of you, please point it there. Ready? Okay.
Atha Shashtodhyayah Atma Samyama Yogaha Shri Bhagavanuvacha Anashritah karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha Sasannyasi cha yogi cha naniragnirna chakriyah Yam sannyāsamiti prāhur yogam tam vidhi pandava Nahya sannyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana Ārurukshor munir yogam karma karanamuchyate Yogarūಢasya tasyaiva shamah karanamuchyate Yada hinendriyartheshu na karmasvanusajjate Sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudhastadochyate.
Hare Krishna. Smita ji, you can read.
Thank you, Guruji. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated in is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme, O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense and gratification. For one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much. So Krishna is talking about a very important concept in the beginning of this chapter. He says, one who performs one's duties and rightful actions without depending on the fruit of the action. He says that is a true sannyasi. Not the one who does not handle fire, nor the one who performs no action. So there is a very interesting word used. The word used is niraginir, which basically means niraginir is a person who does not handle fire. But what does that mean, that a person who does not handle fire? It's the first meaning is that they are talking about, Krishna is talking about the renounced beings. The renounced beings who take bhiksha, they take alms. So they don't actually cook at their home. They get food through bhiksha. So these are the people who we call as Niragnir. And also the other meaning of Niragnir is people who are not required to do any yagyas. Because for yagya you need fire. So these people, they do not need to do any yagya. So what Krishna is saying is that you don't have to be that to be a true sannyasi. What you have to be a true sannyasi, Krishna says, be in the world, be a regular person. That's okay. You can be a grihastha and do your duties. But if you can just get rid of attachment to the result of action, you're giving away that attachment. He says that makes you a true sannyasi. Very powerful statement from Krishna. So there is this author called George Feuerstein. He's a German author. And I really like his translations because his translations are very, very accurate. He tries to stay to the meaning instead of, getting influenced by any of the various schools of thoughts. So he used a very beautiful sentence to explain what Krishna is saying here. He said, Krishna is talking about renunciation in action rather than renunciation of action. So this is what Smitaji had asked a couple of sessions ago is, should we not be involved in life? And Krishna's message is be involved, be very involved, but be renounced in action. In other words, perform your action and then be renounced. In other words, renounce the fruits rather than trying to renounce action itself. And Krishna says, if you do this, then your involvement actually deepens. Then you are able to involve yourself more meaningfully with the world. So that is the crux of this message. Very practical, very beautiful message for all of us. If you look at it the other way, when you say renounce, renunciation basically means you are getting rid of sense of doership. Because if you don't have sense of doership, then you will automatically not have any attachment to the results of your action. Why should we not have sense of doership? Many reasons. First of all, we have to acknowledge that there are so many other forces acting. I've said this before also. Whenever a person achieves success, many times they will go and write a book, how to succeed in life. They are very certain that they are succeeding because of whatever they did. But very few people actually write a book that says why I failed in life. Because when people fail in life, they somehow think it's because of circumstances, it's because of luck, because of discrimination. They will have a million reasons. And does it make sense? It doesn't. Even in real, you can look around yourself. Like my favorite example is Nikola Tesla. I don't know if you know about him, but Nikola Tesla was one of the most brilliant scientists the world has created. I mean, he's absolutely brilliant. Today, almost everything that we use, from a cell phone to a fan to a microwave to a television, everything we use today has his invention at the core of it. He invented the motor, he invented the, radio communication, he invented so many things. He was a genius, absolute genius. But he died a broke man. He really was not a prosperous man. Whereas in today's world, there are people who use the name of Tesla and they are like billionaires. Now, how do you make sense out of it? If it was only your own capacity that determined where you are, then Tesla should have been the richest man on the planet, right? But that's not how it worked. Just like that, there are a lot of other scientists who have done marvelous deeds, like Marie Curie is another example. There are many, there are so many examples. So look at those examples and understand that it is not necessarily what you do or the capabilities that you have that determine your success. So that realization should keep you humble. That is the whole idea. And it should keep you humble, and you should always know that I'm supposed to do what I need to do, definitely. But success is not just because of that. There are many things involved in success, including the grace of God and many other things. So that should help us not have a sense of doership. That is the whole message here. And also we should remember that 3-point peace formula. Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Surudam Sarva Bhutanam Nyatva Ma Shanti Mrityati. There Krishna is again hinting. He's saying Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Anyways, everything belongs to me. So why do you have any sense of ownership? Right? Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam. Whatever you do, it reaches me only. So all of this should keep us in that mindset that let us just focus on what we have to do. If the results are good, let us not think it is all because of us. If results are bad, again, let us not just think that it is just because of us. Stay humble, and that way you will be able to avoid attachment to the outcome. Whatever comes, comes. That makes you a true sannyasi. More than sannyasi, I would say that makes you a vairagi, and being a vairagi is more important because that is what leads to the path of sannyasa, if that is what you want. Do you all want to be a sannyasis? Okay, good. I don't see anybody aspiring to be a sannyasi. That is good. So you are in the right class.
Too many desires to become a sannyasi. We have too many unfulfilled desires.
Well, we are coming there. That's the next part. Krishna is going to also talk about that. Yeah. Yeah, and the other very important thing is Krishna has always said, Krishna has repeated many times that giving away the attachment to results, to fruits of action, Krishna has said many times is very important. But let us not assume that that is the end of spirituality. We have to understand that is the start of spirituality. So when you are able to be such a vairagi, when you are able to give up attachment to results, that is when your actual spirituality starts. Okay, it's a very, very important lesson. Let's keep that in mind. And what is one of the prerequisites? I'm asking a question. It's okay if there is no right, perfect answer, but anybody has any ideas? What is a prerequisite to be a vairagi, or what is a prerequisite to practice detachment to fruits of actions?
Bhakti, bhav, and faith.
Bhakti bhav and what, Suchita ji?
Krishna consciousness.
Krishna consciousness. Faith. Okay, faith, bhakti bhav. Excellent. Anything else?
Controlled mind.
Very good. What kind of control, Ekansh?
Control, agitated mind nahi hona chahiye. It's like control on your desires. If your mind is running here and there.
Is there a word for that?
Yes, there is a word. It is not coming. Bolna to word hi sath dimag mein nahi aa raha. At present. It starts from S.
Samatvam.
Yes. So see, you're all already, excellent students. You're all understanding the key concepts. So this is the whole idea. And you have understood it. That's it. So if you have samatvam means that is helping you become a vairagi. And you become a vairagi means you are on the path. Your actual spiritual progress starts. Your spiritual journey starts at that point. Then all the teachings will make sense. Then it will make sense why Krishna said, Shitoshna, Sukha Dukha. He said like whether it is cold or sunny or duk or sukh, all of that you have to have an equal mind. And then people at that time, they misunderstand initially and they will say, oh, is Krishna saying I should be emotionless? See, that is not the point. Now you are all understanding, right? What Krishna is trying to say. He's saying when you have that kind of a balanced mind, your mind is under control. And when your mind is under control, then you can practice detachment. And when you practice detachment, actual spiritual practice starts at that time. That is what makes you eligible for the real spiritual practice. So, and renunciation, again, there is the word is very misunderstood. In some schools, they teach that renunciation means you have to give up everything. Chodna hai, sab chodna hai. Like, ghar chhod do, like leave house, leave your family, leave everything. Sometimes people don't even want to wear clothes. And it's okay. Krishna is not saying that is a horrible thing to do. All Krishna is saying is That is just external renunciation. That is not really what is going to be enough. That is not what is going to actually give you the success. What is required is internal renunciation. Renunciation is a state of mind. It is not how you make a show of it outside. And again, I repeat the same favorite example of King Janaka. If you look at Raja Janak, he's a king. He has a golden mukut and he has expensive clothes and he has a palace and everything you can think of. You look at him, you'll think that this person has everything that he wants. But he is a sannyasi. Internally, he is an excellent example of a vairagi, where although he is surrounded by all of these things, he is not attached to any of that. And he can give away everything at a blink of his eye. He can just give everything. That is the state of mind we are talking about. And that is what Krishna says is true renunciation. And that kind of renunciation is what we need to succeed on the path of spiritual evolution. I hope this is all making sense. So if you want true happiness, if you remember in one of the previous sessions, we discussed that somebody thinks if I get a new dress, I'll be happy. Somebody thinks if I get a new home, I'll be happy. New car, I will be happy. I want a new relationship. I want a new boyfriend. I want a new girlfriend, whatever. And people think that is what is going to actually give me happiness. And then we discussed, and you all helped us conclude that that happiness is going to be temporary. Why? Because that kind of emotional happiness is depending on some chemicals getting released in your brain. That is what is that feeling of happiness. And every chemical is short-lived. So every such happiness is bound to be short-lived. It is not there is no debate there. It is a fact. Have you ever seen a person who is happy for 50 years because he bought his favorite car 50 years ago? I mean, show me such a person. Or have you seen any one person who is happy for 25 years because 25 years ago he found the perfect girlfriend? Definitely show me such a person, you know. So it's a fact. The fact is that what we think as happiness is not real happiness. They are all temporary. And that is why we should not waste our life running behind what is temporary. So then what is permanent? Permanent happiness is that happiness which comes through the bhakti bhava, that is, and leading to self-realization. That is the bliss, that is Satchidananda, that is the kind of happiness which is permanent, quality-wise, quantity-wise, in every aspect. And Krishna here is saying, this what he just taught us about detachment and about having a mindset of a sannyasi is the requirement, is the fundamental requirement to reach that happiness. The happiness that's never going to go away. You see, these are all not like some exotic ideas. These are all not like some, obscure, abstract. These are real facts. And at least you can very quickly prove one way or other. Like you can all look at your own life. Think of the times you have been very happy in your life, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Definitely all of us have our moments, right? We remember some moments when we were happy. Definitely. Have you been happy? Ekansh, have you ever been happy in life? Yes. Okay. Very happy. Have you been extremely happy also? Yes. But then how come you are not jumping in joy right now? What happened to that happiness?
Because that was temporary. I got with Gita classes.
See, all this question, each one of you should ask yourself that, yes, there was a time when I was extremely joyful, extremely happy, but where did that go? How many times have I found such happiness and again it went somewhere? Where? Why? See, Einstein said the definition of insanity, how does it define insanity? Is you keep doing the same things and expect different results. Is that not insanity? Like you go to the 5th floor and you jump, you break your leg. You're again going to the same 5th floor, again jumping, you break the other leg also. What did you expect? That if you keep jumping, one day you'll suddenly start flying? So he says, that is insanity. How can you keep doing the same things again and again and again and expect different results? So that just like that, you have, or we all have run behind some happiness. We found the happiness, and then after some time that disappeared. So like that, we have done dozens of times in our lives. So we should now understand that there is no point keeping on doing that. Now let us do something different. What is that different? Is try to get into this internal mindset of a renunciate, of a sannyasi, by practicing samatvam, and then see what kind of happiness that gives you eventually, and then you will be able to hold on to that happiness. That is the whole message, and another important thing that we have to understand is when we are all beginning spiritual practices, we need some tools, we need some techniques, especially in the context of Dhyana Yoga, because this chapter is Dhyana Yoga. And here Krishna is going to talk more about how to do meditation and all of that. So then somebody will say you have to keep your leg in a certain way, keep your hand in a certain way, or look somewhere and breathe like this, breathe like that. There are so many techniques available. The thing to keep in mind is let us not get attached to all of this, because it's very funny. But even today, there are a lot of schools who are fighting with each other, saying my technique is better than your technique. It beats the whole point of, because the goal was to use yoga to get union with God. The goal was to reach self-realization. They forget the goal and they're fighting about the tool. And that is a message for all of us also, is yes, pick any tool that works, pick any practice, any method, that's all fine. But eventually, you should know that once you are advanced, once you make progress, you should get rid of the attachment to those tools and methods. Don't get stuck there. It is just like, I think I asked the same question last time also. If anybody plays a musical instrument, but it looks like we don't have any musical people here, that's okay. So, as I used to play the guitar when I was younger, I used to waste a lot of time on guitar. That's what my father used to say. And he used to say, what? All the time you are roaming around with that stupid thing. What? Are you going to go in a train, play it and beg for money? What are you going to do in life? But the point is, when I started playing guitar, I used to always focus on which string I'm plucking, which fret my finger is in, what chord I'm playing. It was difficult. But once I became very good at that, I really didn't have to worry about my fingers would automatically go in the right place, and I can enjoy the music instead of, wasting time focusing on where is my finger and where is my hand and all of that, That's the whole point. Just like that, these methods, techniques, all of that you use for meditation, Dhyana Yoga, and all of that, right now they will be important, but there should come a time, our goal should be that eventually you are able to just enjoy the bliss. And at that time, the techniques should just be like subconscious. It shouldn't even matter, which leg is on which leg or which hand is where or all of that. So that is the whole message here. Okay. Now, the other thing Krishna is saying is, we cannot become a yogi until we have learned to be free from desires. The same thing he's saying in different words now. Because you can't beat the system. You cannot cheat the system. You cannot say that, yes, but these two desires are okay. These two little favorites, these are my favorites. I'll let go of everything else, but I'll keep this one or two, and it's not going to work. So Krishna says, until you have managed all your desires, you cannot really become a yogi. This is a prerequisite. And why? One of the reasons is desires, they lead to impulsive action. And what does impulsive action lead to? They lead to vikarma. Do you remember this? Karma, akarma, vikarma. Ashaji, do you remember what they are?
Karma is whatever action we are doing. Karma is whatever we are not doing. And vikarma is the bad things what we are doing.
Excellent. Karma is action, akarma is inaction, and vikarma is wrong action, wrongful action. Very nice. And if you don't have desires, then you cannot engage in vikarma. See, a very, very powerful equation is No desire means no vikarma. How can there be vikarma if there is no desire? Because desire is what makes you do all of that. See, in 3.36, Arjuna had asked Krishna, what causes humans to commit all these sinful activities? And then Krishna responds in 3.37. Ashaji, you want to read that? 3.37?
Yes. Shri Bhagavan Kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidyenam iva vairinam.
Thank you so much. So Krishna says clearly, without any ambiguity, Krishna is calling out. He's saying it is lust alone which is born of contact with the mode of passion and later transformed into anger. He says, know this to be sinful. This is all devouring enemy in the world. And let us be very clear here. Krishna is not asking all of us to be a brahmachari or a celibate or nothing like that. Krishna is not using the word love. Krishna is not using the word sex also here. He is using the word lust. What is the difference? Because it is the same difference that is between earning money and greed. There is nothing wrong in earning money. In fact, Krishna himself says that be in the world. Do what you have to do. So earning an income is fine. But when you say you are greedy, what does that mean? That means it is never enough for you. And you are all the time thinking about it. And you are also doing sinful, harmful things just to get that extra money, and you are never going to be satisfied. You will always be distracted. That is why greed is wrong. Lust is the same way. Lust is not necessarily attraction to physical attraction. Lust is any desire which becomes overpowering in such a way that you are not in control at all. And you will do any kind of wrong activities to try and fulfill it. That is the definition of lust. And Krishna says that is wrong. Why? Because when you have such a forceful desire, first of all, the desire cannot be fulfilled. We will come to that now. But because of that, you are so forceful for the desire that when you think it is not getting fulfilled, what happens is you become angry. It is a natural, it is definite. This is how it works. So Kama and Krodha, the top two vikaras, now they are in your pocket. Now how can you go? It is like, tying yourself with 100 kilo stones, two of them jumping in a water and expecting to swim. Not going to happen. The only outcome is you're going to drown. So Krishna is very beautifully saying that avoid such kind of forceful desires. So Krishna never says don't enjoy, or Krishna never said anything like that. He just said you need to learn to put a check. Put a check on your desires. And don't let the desires overpower you, and don't let the desires make you harm others, for example. Sometimes we want something so much that we can hurt the other person just to get it. And that is bad karma. That is vikarma. And Krishna says, don't get to it. So the act of putting a check on your desires is called nivritti. Whereas the act of blindly running behind pleasures, that is called as pravritti. So these are the two Sanskrit words, nivritti and pravritti. We have to have nivritti and we have to avoid pravritti. And the other definition is desires, they arise out of wants. I hope you all know the difference between wants and needs. Do you know the difference? I think we have not heard Anika in a long time. Anika? How are you, Anika ji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, how are you? Do you know the difference between want and need?
Need is a necessity we all require to sustain a living, whereas want is something that we require for our to fulfill our pleasures.
Exactly. Excellent. Thank you, Anika ji. A need is a necessity. Beautifully said. Like you need air, you need sleep, but you don't need a Kashmir silk, a blanket. That is a want.
Want is luxury.
So once upon a time, I used to be fond of rock music. And one of my favorite singers, he was called Bono. It's a group called U2, and I used to listen to that. And one of his songs, a very iconic song, which goes like, what you don't have, you don't need. it's a very philosophical statement. Like, he says, what you don't have, you are already alive and you're okay, and you don't have it means that is not a need. You don't need it. Very, very insightful. Okay. So, the other important differentiation between a want and a need is a need can be fulfilled, whereas a want leads to desire, and desires can never be fulfilled. Needs can be fulfilled, desires cannot be fulfilled. By definition, because desires are endless. And let us see, there is this story of a great king. His name was King Yayati. He was a very righteous ruler. I mean, he was very pious, he was knowledgeable, he was strong. He was revered throughout the kingdom, But this story gives us two lessons. The first lesson is what Krishna said. When you have this uncontrolled desire, you do vikarma. And that is exactly the first thing they want to showcase through this story. And this is a real story. Real story in the sense it is documented in our scriptures. So what was the first blunder? That because this king was in a powerful position, he was very popular and all of that, he was already married to Devayani, that was his wife. But then he started desiring for this other girl. Her name was Sharmishta. And the desire became very powerful, and it went out of control now. And because it went out of control, he did a shortcut marriage with Sharmishta without even consulting her parent. Uncontrolled desire mode, Yayati is in a big hurry and he takes all shortcuts and he just directly goes and marries Sharmishta. And when Shukracharya finds out, he is extremely angry. He's like, see, every father thinks that their daughter is precious. And somebody like Shukracharya felt, of course, his daughter was extremely precious. So he's like, you already have a wife, right? Why do you want to make my daughter number two? So both of these things make Shukracharya very angry. And Shukracharya is an extremely powerful rishi. So he curses Yayati. He tells that, you are going to grow old prematurely. Such a terrible curse. In other words, Shukracharya pretty much said your youth is done now. Now you will have to go and get old age. Now Yayati was shocked because our man Yayati was so used to enjoying. He's the guy who would always I want to enjoy. Have you seen such people? There are people who would say, let me enjoy life, but they are never happy. You have to ask them, why you have been enjoying life every day, then why don't you look enjoyed, Because usually people who all the time talk about let me enjoy, they are the people who are usually never really happy. Our Yayati was one such person and he thought he still has to enjoy so much in life. And he's like, how can my youth go away? He's very sad. But of course, in those days, there were a lot of techniques available using which he thought now, look at him, look at the compulsive act on his part. He thought he can go approach his sons and ask them if they can give their youth to him. And of course, his oldest son says, forget it, and I'm not kind of going to give you my kind of youth, and so on and so forth. He goes one son to another son, and nobody wants to give him their youth. And finally, just when he was about to give up, his youngest son, Puru, he displays a lot of compassion and selflessness, and he says, Dad, you can take my youth. Okay. And the shameless Yayati still goes and accepts it. And he takes the youth of his youngest son, Puru, and Puru takes his old age. This is the story. Now see how a person behaves when they are under the force, under the control of desire. They can, this is all, is it not vikarma that you are taking away the youth of your own son? Such a big vikarma. This is what Krishna is warning. This is what Krishna is saying is the problem with lust. The desire itself is not a problem, but how the desire forces you to commit vikarma, he says that is the real problem. And these are examples. So now he has the youth of his youngest son and he goes and does his thing. He again starts busy enjoying. And it says that he keeps enjoying for over 1,000 years. Just imagine. 1,000 years of splurging, enjoying, and around the end of the 1,000 years, finally, Yayati gets this profound realization. He asks himself, what am I doing? I have been enjoying so much for 1,000 years now, women and wine and whatnot, but I don't seem to feel satisfied even now. And then the realization comes to him that no matter how much I'm going to enjoy, there is no satisfaction that's going to come. In fact, he understood and he realized that every time he was fulfilling a desire, that desire was only growing stronger. For example, somebody thinks that, they need to go and have a glass of wine. I'm not saying it is evil. I'm just giving an example. Now, somebody has a strong desire, I need to have a glass of wine. Now, what do you think happens once they enjoy the glass of wine? Next day, they want it again. Now, they had a glass of wine after, say, many months. But once they had it, now they want it every week. Now they make it now from now onwards, I'll have it every week. And eventually it becomes every other day. And then eventually it becomes every day. In other words, it's not like I'm done. The desire keeps getting stronger now. That is one example. So this realization came to Yayati. And in that moment, he got that clarity. And then he declared, he said that desires are never really fulfilled by indulging in them. What is really important is self-control and deeper understanding. And understanding that only happiness is an inside job. With this understanding, he goes and he apologizes to Puru and he says, my son, please take back whatever youth now I have and I will again take the old age. So that is the story. And this realization that Yayati had is documented in the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very, very profound shloka. It says, Na jatu kamaha. Na jatu kamaha kamanam upabhoge na samyati. Havisha Krishna vartameva bhuya evabi vardate. It means us just like providing ghee. So let us say there is fire and you are feeling bad for the fire. You are saying, okay, let me satisfy the fire. How do you satisfy fire? You pour some oil or ghee into the fire. What do you think happens if you pour ghee into the fire? And do you think the fire is going to get satisfied and extinguish? No. The fire is going to get bigger. That is what the shloka says. It says that when you fulfill a desire, the desire only grows stronger. Let us all remember this. Because a lot of us think, that we're fulfilling a desire, the desire will go away. There is no such thing. If you have any questions, I'll take it at the end of the session. Now, another interesting aspect is Krishna is again telling us that Nishkama Karma Yoga is superior to Karma Sannyasa. That is what we have studied so far, correct? Where Krishna says, don't run behind sannyasa. Don't think you will just give up everything and run away. Do your job without attachment. And what is doing job without attachment? That is Nishkama Karma. So Krishna is saying. So in one of the other sessions, when I was explaining this, one young student, he was a little upset with me. And or I don't know, maybe he was upset with Krishna. And he said, what are you saying, Guruji? So you are saying that we will keep doing Nishkama Karma all our lives? I said, yeah, what is wrong in that? He says, are you saying that there is no opportunity for retirement? Like in material job, at least we can retire. You are saying in spiritual job, there is no retirement. We have to keep working. So yeah, valid question. And I think Krishna also anticipated such a question. So he already has explained this also. What he has explained is our first goal should be purification. Purification and perfection in yoga. That is the first goal. And to achieve this, you have to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. He says there is no other way. You have to practice it. He says once you do that, you get purification. And once you get purification, you are able to get perfection in yoga. Krishna says, once you achieve that perfection in yoga, then you are eligible for retirement. And what is retirement? That is sannyasa. Krishna says, once you have achieved this prerequisite of purification and perfection in yoga, he says, if you want, then you can retire. At that time, you can go take up sannyasa, give up everything and become a niraganir. Hope that makes sense. But then how do you know? It's a tough question. There are many aspects. One of the aspects is Samadarshana. We discussed in a previous session where are you able to see Krishna in an ant, in a goat, in a cow, in everything? Are you feeling blissful? Are you satisfied in self-realization alone? There are so many things. Metrics. Arjuna will ask a lot more questions on this. Arjuna is going to also ask Krishna, how do I know that I have samatvam, or how do I know that I'm a Sita Pragya, and so on and so forth. So we will come to that later. But one of the things required to reach there is to domesticate our senses. And how do we domesticate our senses? By tying it to the yoke of God consciousness. I hope you all remember we studied this way back in the second chapter. And there is a very nice shloka, 2.66. Ashaji, you want to read that also?
Nasti buddhira yuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantir ashantasya kutas sukham.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So Krishna says, but an undisciplined person who has not controlled the mind and senses, such a person, they will not be able to focus on God. And they will not have a steady mind. And if they cannot do that, they cannot have any peace. And if they cannot have peace, how can they ever be happy? It's such a very logical way to put the thought across. So once we tie the mind to the yoke of God consciousness, in other words, okay, we can wander a little bit here and there, but again, we have to come back. That is the whole point of tying an animal. In other words, we give the animal a little bit of freedom, but the animal should know that it has to again come back to the center, wherever it is tied to. So that should be the yoke of God consciousness that we have to tie our mind to. Okay. And if we are able to always remind ourselves that it's okay to have desires, it's okay to give in to desires every once in a while, but are we coming back to God consciousness? That is the key part. See, it is not easy. Perfection in yoga is not easy. It's not like getting a master's degree or a PhD. I mean, there is no guarantee that you will get it. And the thing to keep in mind, I've repeated again and again, that the more you advance, the more you will be tempted and challenged by Maya. This is a big, big misunderstanding a lot of people have. A lot of students think that as they advance, things become easier, and they get very disheartened and they get very disappointed, because actually when you start advancing, that is when things get harder. Because now Maya thinks now it has to also up its game, because now you are going to the next level. It is just like any video game. When you keep going to the higher levels of the game gets tougher, right? There we are understanding. The same understanding we should have on the spiritual path also. So don't get disheartened if tomorrow you feel like you are facing more difficulties than normal. You should feel good in a way, and you should tell yourself that, okay, that means I'm on the right track. That means I'm progressing. No? And I'm not talking just about external problems. I'm talking about internal problems. In other words, your mind getting agitated. Sometimes you may get more angry. Sometimes you may get more anxious. But the key is always remind yourself that you have tied yourself to the yoke of God consciousness. In other words, it's okay. These things are okay. Somewhere you have to again remind yourself that, okay, I'm tied to that God consciousness. Let me go back to that yoke. That is how you keep training your mind to overcome that. And eventually there will come a time when you will achieve purification. Once the purification comes, then that stage is your final stage. Then after that, Maya will leave you alone. But those are the rules of the game. Okay. That is why a lot of people, including many great sages have said that these siddhis are a big distraction. See, what people think that if some Baba can just do like this and make a flower appear out of nowhere, then we all want to prostrate in front of that guy and we follow that person. I mean, there's nothing wrong in that. But the point is, just flipping a finger and making a flower appear, it is just a siddhi that anybody can get. You don't have to be God conscious to have that. Because yoga also is a set of rules, and you follow the rules to get the results. Okay. So, first of all, don't run behind such things. You should not have this mindset that a God conscious person means they have to do some miracles, because the miracle doesn't mean you are God conscious or that person is God conscious. Okay. The second thing is, what you have to understand is, you yourself may get some siddhi, not a very big siddhi, but even small siddhi. When you are evolving on the spiritual path, you will get some benefits, definitely. For example, sometimes you will become more intuitive. Sometimes you are just able to know what the other person is going to say before that person says. It will all happen. But the key thing is, no, don't get attached to those siddhis, because that is Maya's game again. Maya is going to make you think a lot about your siddhis. Now you become attached to the siddhi, and then you forget the path again. Then you make a show of your siddhis. That should not happen. So siddhis are kind of a hindrance. That is another lesson that we need to understand. And one of the reasons, there are many reasons, but this is one of the other reasons why Bhakti Yoga is said to be the most superior. Because in Bhakti Yoga, we are not running behind siddhis. Bhakti Yoga is practiced from a mindset of humility. Whereas all other types of yogas, it is based on the feeling that you are doing something. So it is based on willpower. So if you do Bhakti Yoga, then you will usually be safe from this trap of getting siddhis and getting distracted by siddhis. So those are the things I wanted to cover. These are the teachings from Shri Krishna in the first 4 shlokas. I hope this all made sense. So Hare Krishna, thank you once again for spending your precious time on this beautiful occasion of the start of Kartik Mass. So I will stop talking. If you had any comments or questions, please go ahead. Is it all made sense, or was it just a bit too much? Or was it too little?
Right explanation you have given for the desire, no? That's a longing. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, I just thought everybody is practicing samatvam here. Shant samatvam,
Guruji, what if the concept is so clear and you don't have question, but some other people have, like you told that one of your students had that question in his mind. What if we don't have any question? It's like it's so clear. So we are on the path of Bhakti Yoga or on the going upwards.
एकांश क्या चल रहा है? हाँ?
कुछ नहीं चल रहा, वैसे ही आ गया वो. आपने जब बोला ना कि उसको ये क्वेश्चन था, I just thought कि हमें ऐसा क्वेश्चन क्यों नहीं आता.
क्वेश्चन आया तो भी अच्छा है, क्वेश्चन नहीं आया तो भी अच्छा है.
Thank you for repeating.
Yes,
Sorry.
Yes,
I was saying thank you for repeating this session, because last time we really couldn't understand, actually hear it. So
yeah, I hope the audio was clear this time.
Yes, absolutely, just like every other time.
Thank you so much.
Maybe that is why no questions, because some people must have had a revision immediately.
No, it's good. It's all Krishna's Leela only. I think Krishna wanted us to start Dhayana Yoga the day the Kartik Mahina starts. So because this is where the Krishna is starting to change the trajectory. So far, he has been a lot on the jnana aspect. Now he's going to change the direction, and very soon we are going to get into Bhakti Yoga. So that is why I think it's auspicious start to this chapter. So thank you. Okay then, thank you so much, my dear Satsang family. I hope you all have a beautiful, divine Kartik month. and continue the practice. Don't give up. And next week, let us meet again. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.